Welcome into Dolphins Today, made possible by Roan. Their commuter collection, I am wearing one of the polos from it, can get you straight through the workday and right into whatever comes next. Get 20% off over at roan.com/chatsports when you use promo code chatsports. We're having some fun on today's show, looking at 5 blockbuster trade targets the Miami Dolphins could try to pull off before training camp gets going, because it's July, it's a little bit boring, so let's have some fun pieing after some players. Now, for the month of July, it's been a bit of a down month because there's no anything really going on around the NFL. We're averaging about 190 likes. That's kind of disappointing. I think we can double that with ease. Help us accomplish that. Like today's video right now. The first trade target, it's a running back. Of course it is, with all the rumors and buzz, whatnot, around Dalvin Cook. Josh Jacobs could maybe be out there at this stage. He could be an option for a variety of NFL teams, and the Dolphins stand out there. His contract, if he gets it done, there's a week to go before the franchise tag deadline, by the way, could reset the market. Now, he has threatened to hold out of training camp if he doesn't get a new contract. I will say this, I'd be pretty surprised if Jacobs did that, because it doesn't do anything for him. He can't get paid once that deadline ends. He's coming off an awesome season, a all-pro caliber campaign, almost 5 yards per carry on 340 carries is utterly insane. He is a better football player right now, I would argue pretty darn clearly, than Dalvin Cook is. And that's not even me being negative Dalvin Cook guy, whatever. That's just pointing out the reality that on more carries, better efficiency, more touchdowns, just as good, if not better, in terms of passing situations. I'm a big fan of what Josh Jacobs offers. The issue you run into here is, hey, do you want to pay him $10 million or even more on an extension and give up a premium draft pick? That starts to get a little bit dicey for both Jacobs and the second name on this list, that is Saquon Barkley. Barkley, the Giants star back, just like Jacobs, is also looking for a massive contract extension in what is a down running back market. Backs are not getting paid. They're not often getting to second deals, and if they are, they don't normally make it all the way through those second contracts. That's been the issue for a variety of players, including but not limited to the Dalvin Cook scenario. So we'll spend some more time on the Barkley side of it here. Let's say these guys are available, and you do want to go trade for them, whatever the contracts look like. Who would you rather trade for? JJ for Josh Jacobs, SB for Saquon Barkley. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if an ad starts to play here in a moment on YouTube, that's fine. You can ignore the ad, let it play, whatever, and go vote at the comments. JJ or SB. Barkley had a bounce-back resurgent season in 2022, mostly from a volume and some pass-catching perspective. He only averaged 4.4 yards per carry. He's always been a bit of a feast or famine back. He'll have some negative runs and then bust off a 50-yard gain, and that's worthwhile. The explosive play rate is super high for Saquon Barkley, which carries value. He offers pass-catching ability as a check-down piece. He was a big part of that Giants ground game that also allowed Daniel Jones to get some yardage on the ground. And he was solid in the team's playoff runs. Remember, they beat the Vikings in the wild card round, then had no real chance against the Eagles because, there was a clear haves and haves not in the NFC last year. It did have really good efficiency. Daniel Jones ran the ball a lot, but didn't get much going against the Eagles, unfortunately. The Dolphins obviously are linked to a variety of backs. They have been for a while. They did draft Devon Achane. I would wonder if maybe the path to either Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs ends up arriving through more of they don't get paid this upcoming week, then they have to play on the franchise tag, and they're just upset with their teams, and maybe the Raiders, more so than the Giants, decide to rebuild. And they say, okay, you know what, we'll trade him, get a second-ish, third-ish round pick back, and then the Dolphins could also maybe send a Mostert or Wilson back and still make room for Achane to be the back of the future in Miami. Today's show is made possible by Roan. 20% off your order over at roan.com/chatsports. That's roan.com/chatsports. I'm rocking one of the commuter collection polos, but they make dress shirts and pants and a whole lot more. There's a product for every occasion with Roan. They're comfortable. They make you feel good. So whatever you've got after work, whether you're going to drinks, you're going to the bar, you're going to go play some golf, whatever it is, Roan has something for you. 20% off your order at roan.com/chatsports when you use promo code chatsports. They've got pants, dress shirts, quarter zips. Forgot to mention the quarter zips, polos as well. 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility for whatever life ends up throwing your way. It's got Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, so you'll smell fresh and clean all day long. And by the way, Roan is 100% machine washable, so you can ditch the dry cleaner altogether. The commuter collection gets you through any workday and right into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/chatsports and use promo code chatsports for 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off when you go to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. Find your corner office comfort by checking the comment section and the description for the link and the promo code. Vita Vea is next up on our blockbuster trade targets idea. He signed a 4-year, $71 million deal last year at the very end of the 2021 season. It was like January 8th or something, got that deal done. Also hilarious because that deal looks super team-friendly now with all the other big-time defensive linemen or D linemen who have gotten paid. The Bucs, I will make note, did restructure his contract this offseason, which makes it far less likely that they would be willing to move on from Vita Vea. When you restructure, it pushes money off into the future. The Bucs would save about $1 million this year if they were to trade Vita Vea. Probably doesn't make sense for them as an organization, even if they are rebuilding. I have always loved Vita Vea. I think he has been and is still one of the best nose guards in the entire NFL. I loved him coming out of Washington. 6.5 sacks, 7 TFLs this past season. Statistically, one of his best seasons ever. 4 sacks, 5 TFLs the year before. It's actually really good production for a player who isn't supposed to be a sack machine. He is a run stopper clogger up front. So the Vita Vea contract, what it would be for the Miami Dolphins is basically this: $1.08 million this year, $15.5, 16, 17 million base salaries. That's super cheap this year, and then you could restructure in 2024, et cetera, if you wanted to. Still comes in far below the average per year numbers for the top defensive tackles in the NFL. So would you trade for Vita Vea if the Bucs decided to shop? And maybe trade deadline time comes and they're bad. Maybe they blow it up and trade a player like Vita Vea. Would you do it? Y for yes, N for no. We'll stick with some trench play here. Quenton Nelson. He was voted number 28 in the NFL's, I will say this again, always bad top 100 player rankings because they vote on 10 each, and that gets put up to 100, so the math is not mathing there because you're just getting random players mixed in there. Nelson has been one of the best guards in the NFL since his time entering. He's a top 10 pick at Notre Dame. He was the best player I had ever scouted coming out at that time, still the case, and he has lived up to it for the most part. There was an issue this past year where, simply put, Quenton Nelson didn't play the way he's accustomed to playing, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But look, he's still better than what you have on the offensive line, right? Here's what Quenton Nelson told Zach Kiefer. He was a Colts beat reporter, by the way, after the year, and he said a long chat with Nelson after the final game. He owned his regression this season. I gave up a decent amount of pressure, Nelson said. I need to be better in one-on-one protection. I know what I've got to do. I've already thought about it. Now, even though Nelson wasn't as good last year, he was not that same arguably best guard in the NFL, he was a hell of a lot better than the Liam Eichenberg-led left guard situation for the Miami Dolphins. And I get you signed Isaiah Wynn. If you could actually get Nelson, and if the Colts decide, you know what, we don't want to pay him what we're paying him, we'll gamble on Anthony Richardson not having good offensive linemen, which I don't think they would do. That is an instant, massive upgrade up front for the Miami Dolphins. Look, Nelson wasn't at his peak form last year. He allowed 5 sacks. That's more sacks in one season than he had allowed in his entire NFL career entering this year. Now, look, Matt Ryan can't move in the pocket anymore. The Colts were a dumpster fire, so there are some potential reasons why there. but the hurries, the hits, and everything else was still much higher than what it normally is for a player of Nelson's caliber. So I would fully expect a bounce back year. I doubt he's actually available because, hey, the Colts got to protect Anthony Richardson, but it'd be a fun idea. If you guys have not already, please subscribe to us here on Dolphins Today. We're doing videos every single day. I know it's a dead period of the year with training camp still 3-ish weeks away. We've got you guys covered. Hit that sub button right now. Let's go to Budda Baker. The Cardinals safety had requested a trade earlier this offseason. Does not plan on holding out of training camp. Said he still plans to attend. The reasoning here for Budda Baker, who's set to make a lot of money, $13 million this year, but not much of his upcoming deal is guaranteed. He's got 2 years left on it. So his agent, David Mulgeta, who does a great job of getting safeties in particular paid, is trying to get his clients some more guaranteed money, lock him in long term. Whether that's Arizona or elsewhere remains to be seen. Baker is one of the better safeties in the NFL. I don't think he's the best safety. I think there's a bunch of better ones out there right now. Not a bunch, but there are several better ones out there. And it sounds like Baker doesn't want to necessarily be the highest paid safety in the NFL. Here's what David Mulgeta, his agent, said. He doesn't want to be the highest paid safety. My client just wants to be paid fairly for what he brings to the table. Now, in theory for the Dolphins, you keep Javon Holland as one safety. Maybe even ship out Brandon Jones in a trade to get Baker to bring down the draft capital. Not because you don't like Brandon Jones, because you need a safety 3 at that point. I'm not so sure. Baker right now is the 7th highest paid safety in the NFL. I would wager he wants to be maybe more between number 2, 3, or at worst case number 4. Maybe he's looking for a new 3-year, $16 million per year deal with a bunch of that money guaranteed. Might be a bit tricky for Miami to pay. Arizona, though, might be bad this year. Baker might not fit their timeline moving forward. Well, the last question before we sign off today. Name a player who you guys want to trade for. I mentioned 5. Drop your names in the comment section.